persons shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof. The proposed local law proposes to allow a maximum building height of 45 feet in the light industrial district. A complete text of such proposed local law is presently on file at the town clerk's office, where it may be examined by all interested persons during normal business hours.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the board for this public hearing for local law number 5?
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes, please.
just for the record, this adjustment in the light industrial district was one of the matters that was reviewed by the building department and recommended because the nature of applications coming before the planning board for approval exceeded in many instances the 35 feet maximum requirement by the present code, and the alternative is to send the applicant to the zoning board of appeals, and in most instances that's just an unnecessary second step. One question concerning the height, neither the fire department nor the fire marshal have any concern with the additional height. It can be serviced, and one of the comments that was made with respect to the additional height is, as the building gets taller, might there be a concern about moving the building further away from side setbacks or rear setbacks? And again, the comment from the building department was that's a matter for the planning board to address on a case-by-case basis.
Very good. I also should just say, since we have the minute, that a very detailed report was drawn comparing both the original as well as the proposed, and you have that packet with you for every single local law that has been considered. I think Brian and Sue did a great job on that. Anybody that wishes to address the board on this topic? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing for introductory local law number 5. And on my clock, it says 7:05, so we will consider the public hearing for introductory local law number 6.
Please take notice that the town board of the town of Ogden will hold and conduct a public hearing to consider the enactment of introductory local law number 6, 2023, which local law proposes to amend chapter 300-6 of the zoning code, the definitions of the zoning code of the town of Ogden. Such public hearing shall be held before the town board at a regular meeting thereof to be held at the Ogden Community Center, 269 Ogden Center Road, Spencerport, New York, 14559, on the 12th day of April 2023 at 7 p.m., at which hearing all interested persons shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof. The proposed local law proposes to amend the definition of townhouses in the existing code. A complete text of such proposed local law is presently on file at the town clerk's office, where it may be examined by all interested persons during normal business hours.
Very good. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the board for this public hearing on local law number 6?
Again, Mr. Supervisor, the genesis of this proposed local law is that townhouses in either 2 or 3 or 4 units attached to one another have been before the planning board, and the present code requires that each of them be on a separate lot. And what that entails in terms of development is that sanitary sewer, water, all of the utility connections must be made to each of the units separately, and the units could be sold separately or rented. This proposal to amend the definition of townhouses it would do away with the separate lot line restriction in the development of townhouses, which would allow them to be developed, I guess, for lack of a better words, more economically in terms by the developer. Either way, whether they're separate lots or whether they're not separate lots, the units could be rented or sold as a unit. So it really doesn't change the use of the property or how it could be marketed. It just removes an additional expense in development. That's why it's here.
Yes. Well, we will wait until 7:10, unless the board has any comments or conversations on this.
I have none.
Minutes should reflect that there's been no public comments.
Moving forward, we should change these from 5-minute increments to 3. Is there any law regulating that?
You could do some of the other resolutions if you wanted in the next 2 minutes, or you can just wait. Okay.
7:10.
All right, yep. Is there anybody that wishes to address the board on introductory local law number 6 one more time? Okay, we will close the public hearing for local law number 6, and we'll move to the public hearing for introductory local law number 7.
Alright, please take notice that the town board of the town of Ogden will hold and conduct a public hearing to consider the enactment of introductory local law number 7, 2023, which local law proposes to amend chapter 300-57 of the zoning code of the town of Ogden. Such public hearing shall be held before the town board at a regular meeting thereof to be held at the Ogden Community Center, 269 Ogden Center Road, Spencerport, New York, 14559, on the 12th day of April, 2023, at 7 p.m., at which hearing all interested persons shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof. The proposed local law proposes to amend the existing code provisions relating to garages and carports to remove obsolete and outdated provisions. A complete text of such proposed local law is presently on file at the town clerk's office, where it may be examined by all interested persons during normal business hours.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the board on introductory local law number 7? I see none.
For the record, the purpose of this local law, the present code makes reference to the International Residential Code. That was an old code that was, at one point in time, used in the state of New York. It hasn't been used in years. The code that's presently governs all of this construction is called the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, and the provisions that are being deleted reference the old International Residential Code, and actually have posed some concern among purchasers of new homes and contractors as to which code applies, and this just deletes the old reference to an outdated code, and Brian and his office are working with and using the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code as the standard in New York, as they should.
How long has it been since we used?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I don't think we even have a copy of the International Residential Code. But it was last adopted in 2015, so that's at least 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
That it was last adopted.
I think I'll say this too. Part of the thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to let the state law on a lot of this stuff govern itself, and not add additional restrictions that are locally. The state will change the way that they do things from time to time. So even in the way that we draft them by saying, applying to or applicable to state blah blah blah, that means that as it is the state adopts, we can't be less.
We can't be more restrictive
than
the state law. But we can you can't even vary from the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code without an application to the state and a hearing and a waiver. from the state requirements. So Brian's very comfortable with the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code. And as Supervisor indicated, as that might be amended from year to year, that's the code that applies in Ogden.
Thoughts, questions, comments?
That question was supposed to last longer, sorry.
It happens. I will wait 1 minute.
I'm surprised, oh, never mind.
Recording.
You got that one right.
I'm sure the town clerk will put a section in the minutes of silence for 3.5 minutes.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Last chance, anybody for this public hearing? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing for introductory local law number 7, and we will open the public hearing for introductory local law number 8.
Please take notice that the town board of the town of Ogden will hold and conduct a public hearing to consider the enactment of introductory local law number 8, 2023, which local law proposes to amend chapter 260-3, swimming pools of the zoning code of the town of Ogden. Such public hearing shall be held before the town board at a regular meeting thereof to be held at the Ogden Community Center, 269 Ogden Center Road, Westport, New York, 14559, on the 12th day of April 2023 at 7 p.m. At which hearing all interested persons shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof. The proposed local law proposes to require that all swimming pools have a minimum 10 feet setback from all structures, excluding decks having a minimum height of 4 feet. All measurements shall be to the water's edge. A complete text of such proposed local law is presently on file at the town clerk's office, where it may be examined by all interested persons during normal business hours.
Very good. Is there anyone that wishes to address the board on introductory local law number 8 for this public hearing? Anyone on the board have any thoughts or comments? Okay. I'm going to leave the public hearing open for 5 minutes in case anybody should want to say anything. But I'm also going to take the time to do something that was specifically not put on the agenda tonight. A couple weeks ago, Superintendent Wolf and I were able to attend a ceremony, the Night of Champions, that honored several individuals as the 2023 Game Changers for the Special Olympics. And when we were there, we had wanted to give a special recognition to one of the members of the 2023 Game Changers. And that individual afterwards told me that there shouldn't be any additional recognition, to which I very politely said, I have no problem pulling rank on you for this one situation.
Slightly less than polite, Mr.
It was pretty polite. It was rather polite. But out of respect, I didn't want to do a whole thing where we did pictures and stuff like that. In fact, all I really wanted to do is say something specific, and this is for Sal Gerbino. And we don't make a point of honoring town board members for their work. We kind of expect that we're out in the public doing good things. But I just wanted to very specifically say, you know, I think that we all know the Special Olympics. I think we all support the Special Olympics, but it hasn't really been until we kind of really, until you really helped us understand the significance and bring this stuff, that Ogden was really able to jump on board. You know, the highway department helps out with the polar plunge. The police department gets involved with the torch run. The town board members are attentive and aware to all the events that come here because of what you have done. And I know that you'll say that you didn't do it, but you did. And so the town is paying attention to it more than it's ever been. And we now have the ability to support more than we ever have. And so really for that, I wanted to say thank you. We had this nice little plaque here for you. It says, presented in appreciation for your selfless, lifelong commitment to others as a retired police sergeant, town councilman, and coordinator of Special Olympics, law enforcement, torch run, Rochester Polar Plunge. You've continually demonstrated what it means to touch lives and make a difference. Thank you for your many contributions to our community. And feeling the heat behind me. Congratulations. Nice job.
I've never seen
Thank you.
daggers being stared.
Thank you, and to one end, I will say, any recognition across the board that makes public notice truly serves to benefit the athletes. So thank you very much on behalf of the athletes of Special Olympics. Wonderful. I'll get even with you, Mr. Super.
Painless. It was painless.
In a non-confrontational.
And it actually helped us to pass
Kill
a
5
little
minutes.
bit. And there it is. All right.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to approach the board on local law number 7? If not, I'm sorry, local law number 8, thank you. If not, I will close the public hearing for local law number 8. Very good. Next, we will have approval of the minutes. Matter of a motion?
Motion. Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next, we have privilege of the floor. Is there anybody that wishes to address this board on any topic? Seeing none.
That's it.
I will close the, I'm sorry?
Does that have to be someone that sent that email into you? Does that have to be read, or is that okay to be just sit down?
That's gonna go under correspondence.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just don't wanna see him
No,
left out.
we'll make sure it gets,
Well, I'll say for the record, there was an individual that wrote an email that will be submitted into the record for the public hearings. Both questions were answered and addressed by department heads, hopefully to the satisfaction of the individual. They have requested that it be mattered into the meeting minutes, and we will do as such. Thank you, Dan. Anybody that wishes to address the board? All right, then I will close the privilege of the floor. Reports and remittances from town officers, Resolution 136.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, town audits, Resolution 137.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. As we discussed in the pre-meeting, a number of correspondences that are there, and then we will move to reports from town officers. One of the things that we talked about in the pre-meeting that I think is worthy of talking about in recorded session here. Tonight, we are considering a resolution for approval of the consultant for the comp plan. This is a project we've been working on for a really good long time. Very happy with the consultant that is being proposed here tonight. And we are going to, I'm asking the board to consider using the Part-Town Reserve Fund in order to pay for this as opposed to ARPA, because I do think that we've got some really good community projects coming down the pipeline over the next couple of years that would be very beneficial, or is beneficial that we have ARPA money and that we've been, pretty frugal with it thus far. So that's one thing that is up for consideration. I know we talked quite a bit about updating the purchasing policy. We've had a number of good conversations about that. I had probably the most fruitful conversation today with the highway department on this. And there's some situations within the purchasing policy where you can add certain addendums and exceptions, and we felt like the need was mounting up to be more than we were willing to just kind of, try to update. So instead, we're gonna actually have a completely different approach to this, and hopefully we will have it in front of everybody soon. But the highway department is extremely unique, as are actually a lot of departments are very, very unique. And there was a good amount of unintended consequences between the old version and the new version that I mean, the process that's handled in the highway department is very, very good. And we want the purchasing policy to reflect that, and we also want everybody to be in compliance with where we need to be. And so just taking a brief pause on that is really going to be the best thing. And then we'll put something in front of you that is just rock solid, that everybody can put their stamp of approval on. And so I really appreciate the conversation that was had in the highway department today and yesterday and you know, the past little bit. And I think it's really gonna get us to where we wanna be.
Yeah.
So
I
think
appreciate
that's.
that. I appreciate that. He's taking a step back and taking a better look at it. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
And again, it works for almost every department except for the highway, but the highway department is a third
Yeah.
of the entire
You
budget,
spend, right,
you know,
right.
so it just, and it's unique,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Good.
I'd like to agree with what Steve just said, and to play off of what you said also. I think we had some discussion when we were going through all of these things, that should we try, we implement the new procedure, short distance down the road, we see that we need to tweak something, it can always be tweaked. And I came here ready to say, why tweak down the road if best practices in the past exist to draw off of, along with current legal prerequisites. So I love that we're taking a pause
Yeah.
to implement what some of those would be now,
Yeah.
based on what the highway superintendent's needs are and has been doing all this time, and what we now need to do insofar as our due diligence.
Do our
moving
best to get it
forward.
right the first time.
100%.
Right.
And I think I came in looking at this with two significant goals. One was to actually identify what actually needs to be a resolution, because I think that we were getting lost in the weeds on that.
Yep.
And the second one was to essentially update all of the numbers from the last time they were actually updated to 2011, just to be in compliance with GML 103. And the way that it was approached was a complete revamp, which a lot of, you know, flexibility was given for that. And along the way, there were just some things that needed to stay. And so, like I said, I think, you know, we solved the two things that I really wanted, and along the way, there were some things that were left on the carpet that I really appreciate that Dan took the time to point out. Malene and
Give credit to
Nicole.
my two office girls.
They are sharp. They are really sharp. And they'll let you know.
Yes, they will.
And they did. It really was one of the better conversations I've had since stepping into this office, so I appreciate the open nature of that. Yes, so moving into funding projects, met with Congressman Morelli, Assemblyman Jensen, and Senator Ort, just to discuss some of the larger projects that have been loosely discussed. And I'll fast forward by telling you that basically all of them said you have to have plans. And so that's something we've talked about a lot, and I'm committed to making sure that we are setting aside some dollars for some of those plans. But what I loved is that we're basically going to send these projects to Congressman Morelli, to Jensen and Ort, and really work with their staff to try to find some specific funding opportunities. So Congressman Morelli is actually on the Appropriations Committee. He talked about specific federal funding for water, for parks, and for new structures. We won't have some of his member items until next year, but there are very specific grants that are continual that he says he would like to help us out with. Ort said the same thing, and Jensen as well. So pretty excited to be giving them solid plans at some point and see what kind of funding is out there so we can put these things together. I did love that Congressman Morelli did specifically talk about water. So we'll see. We'll see what that means, but the conversation has been started. talked about the concession stand. And then the other thing that I'll mention is that there was a groundbreaking ceremony for the new building at Homesteads for Hope, something that our building department's been working on for a very long time, and it was just a very good celebration of essentially their 7th season and doing good things out there. That is all I have. Councilman Baker.
Thank you. The only thing I have, just kind of to continue what you had said about meeting with some of the elected officials. I had the opportunity to meet with Assemblyman Jensen, stop by his office, talked a little bit about, because I had a question regarding the grant that was being issued. Having worked in the state assembly myself, the grants, my concern was, and the genesis of my concern was, the 50,000 is a lot of money, but how quickly are we going to see that be paid out from the state? Because in years past, the Assembly office had issued out grants to municipalities who, to this day, some of them have not seen anything yet, and these are going back to 2016, 2017. So what I didn't want to see was a delay, in payment or anything like that, and he assured me that everything that he has seen is right on track, so. And that was it. So he answered my question, and we're good to go.
Good, thank you. Councilman Gerbino.
So I speak to the Parks and Recreation. You mentioned the dilapidated building. There are several things going on relative to parks right now, including some proposed upgrades, some already completed upgrades, and some upgrades that are kind of midstream. And again, it's kudos to Andrea and her people for what's taking place. All the baseball fields, the new backstops, the side fences, major improvement. It's not just a safety issue, but it definitely improves the look of the park, besides the buildings that we're talking about that are being worked on, as well as some of the other projects that have been proposed that we're still looking at. But she seems to be ahead of the curve on a whole lot of things, and it's a pleasure working with her, at least shadowing her, so to speak, because she's running with it. So that's it.
Very good, thank you for that. Councilman Hinman?
Yeah, I had an interesting meeting, went to an interesting meeting, zoning board meeting. They had a citizen come to the meeting requesting help with, or requesting to do something in regards to his property. He's owns property in the retirement home that's there on Trimmer or Gillette and 31. It's an interesting situation because the developer said that he put in the bylaws for that establishment there is that they can't have any sheds or anything, but yet it doesn't have an HOA. It doesn't have anything to take care of it. So it's just an interesting thing because it's probably going to come before this board eventually. But right now, as it sits, his next line of, because there's nothing they can do because the law says they can't do anything about it. But he just wants to have a shed to put his stuff in, but the bylaws actually say he can't do that. And so it was just an interesting situation, and I thought it was just weird how it's written that way, and learning more myself just how the developers have to do things and how they can kind of get around things or kind of screw up things. So we kind of got to be vigilant in how we do things. So, but that being said, I mean they handled it very well as far as the zoning board did. They handled it well. They conducted themselves very professionally in a way that was the best they could to help this guy because there was nothing they could do. But
So correct me if I'm wrong, the senior zoning does not allow you to build a shed, is that correct? Right, so that was the matter that was before the zoning board?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was saying, well, there's a shed right here, but it was people that were on
Right.
Trimmer there, and it's like, or Gillette, sorry. Yeah, so it looks like it's right your neighbor, but it's not. So at least they're not part of that thing. So it was just a complicated thing, but I was just more impressed at how well that the zoning board of appeals handled themselves in that situation, because the guy was legitimately, he's pretty flustered, so, but at the same time.
I guess that was for the Ivydale, and that was the resident you're talking about?
Yeah.
But he backs up to what's not a senior center living.
Right.
But they
And
look
he's
the
con-
same.
Yep.
Correct, but he's concerned about, because the people back there got their
This-
sheds, their pool
This
sheds
matter
and all
actually
that
came
stuff.
to me first from Keith.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
wanted to know, what my thoughts on how to handle it, and I said, well, the board could grant a variance from the code requirement, but you can't, the board has no control over if someone in the project wants to enforce the restriction.
Yep.
And he, the applicant, needs to understand that, because
They did a really good job, and, Keith did a good job just explaining themselves. I just thought the whole process, as complicated it was and as angry as this gentleman was, understandably so,
Sure.
but everyone handled themselves well. I just thought it spoke well to Ogden, the way they handled it, so that's all I had to report.
Thank you. Councilman Toms?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. For those of you that don't know, I'm a member of the Sons of American Legion over at Post 330, it's Creamer Road. And they had a ham raffle last Sunday, or a week ago Sunday now, that I attended with my wife, and we raised a bunch of money. And Mr. Wolf attended as well. He spent a lot of money.
Yep.
Got a ham, I could've got.
Came in with his kitty and he spent it all, let me tell you that. But that was a lot of fun, and they raised about $2,400 for that. I go to a monthly meeting there on Mondays, second Monday of the month, and they raised about $2,400 for their SAL. So I thought that was great. I also went to the Rotary meeting on the first Monday of the month. And Tony Pisa was there, and we spoke about some of the partnering that the town's been doing with him and what's going on over at the park. And, pretty much a presentation of awareness of what they're all about and everything to the Rotary. And I think the Rotary was gonna vote on whether they were gonna give them a little help in that project as well. They also brought up an interesting subscription for what they call a flag program. And essentially, you pay $75 a year for the subscription, and then a Rotary member would stop by a few days before one of the 4 holidays that they celebrate, Memorial Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, and Veterans Day. And they would put a flag up in your yard, and then a few days after the holiday, they come around and take that flag back down. So I thought it was kind of interesting, and he asked me to drop this off and hopefully pin it up in the town office someplace. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Superintendent Dan Wolf.
We're still picking up roadside. We got the other side of the town to do, the west side of Union Street that we're working on now. Other than that, that's it, and we're getting ready for the show that'll be here on the 26th. And then getting into our off-road drainage work, and a lot of complaints about, people complaining about water in their yards, and there's really not much we can do with water's there.
It's the spring. Turns out.
Mother Nature put it there, and
Snow melts.
we'll try to get rid of it. But that's all I got to report.
Thank you, sir. Well, our town clerk is not able to be here, but our deputy town clerk is here.
So, still really, really busy with passports, extremely, the most I've ever experienced since working here. And we're coming to a close for our, collecting the town account for 2023, so that's almost to an end. And that's all it.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Shum.
We've had 8 public hearings on 8 local laws, and Brian and Sue have perused them again to make sure that what they wanted is exactly what's there, and I appreciate their help in that. I've reviewed the proposed agreement for assistance with the comprehensive plan. It is an $80,000 commitment. However, it allows either party, the town or the provider, to terminate it at any time, and the town's only obligation at that point in time is to pay for what has been done up to that point in time. The schedule that's attached to it is aggressive, but it seems to be complete. I mean, it outlines exactly what the state law requires the comprehensive plan to be, and how you're supposed to accomplish it. So the agreement seems to be in good order, and there is a resolution tonight to authorize the supervisor to sign it. That's it.
Very good. Thank you very much. There being no unfinished business, we will move into new business. Madam Deputy Clerk.
Alright, resolution 138, negative declaration of environmental significance for local law number 1 of 2023, a local law of the town of Ida proposing to amend chapter 224 of the town code relating to signs in residential districts and non-residential districts.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 139, authorizing the enactment of local law number 1 of 2023.
I moved that one too.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item is 140.
Resolution 140, negative declaration of environmental significance for local law number 2 of 2023, a local law of the town of Ogden proposing to amend chapter 300-28 and 300-29 of the town code relating to accessory structures and temporary storage containers in residential districts.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify, oh, yep, sir.
I got a question.
Sure.
This is actually for Dan. Dan, what happens to, storage containers that was asked today? If they have an existing storage container on their property, and we just passed this law,
The law cannot be retroactive, but I would suggest that the building department do is notify those people who have a storage container that this law is effective from the date it's filed with the Secretary of State, and that would then apply, prospectively, the time frame would apply to their storage container.
okay, thank you.
Good question. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 141, authorizing the enactment of local law number 2 of 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. The next item is 142.
Resolution 142, negative declaration of environmental significance for local law number 3 of 2023, a local law of the town of Ogden to amend chapter 300-6, definitions of the town code to add sheds, accessory structures, incidental structures, and temporary storage container.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 143, authorizing the enactment of local law number 3 of 2023.
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion?
Yes,
There needs to be.
Oh,
as I
yes.
mentioned during the pre-meeting, the definition of accessory structure is proposed in this local law should be deleted from the local law as it's
Redundant.
going to be adopted, since we already have a definition in the code for accessory structure / accessory use.
So I'll accept a motion for Resolution 143.
With the edit.
Yes, with said edit to remove definition of accessory structure from this particular.
And I'll stay on with the, I'll move that to go with the initial
No, second.
proposal.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, Resolution 144.
Resolution 144, appointing Christina Pinter and Kelly Kuzak to the Ogden Board of Assessment Review.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Toms, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution number 145, authorizing an agreement with Russell Property Maintenance for the provision of 2023 mowing services at properties maintained by the town.
So moved.
Second it?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
to Carpentry and Constructions Management Corporation for the furnishing of an interior wall and metal ceiling liner at their newly constructed pole barn located at Pineway Ponds Park.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 147, authorizing the completion of the pole barn project at Pineway Ponds Park and designating the use of ARPA funds for the same.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this item?
Yeah, just to paraphrase what we talked about in pre-meeting, it'd be nice to see ahead of time, similar to pulling back the procurement policy, understanding what the full project cost is going to be. Even if we only approve a subset of that number at a time, it would be nice to see that in advance. I think it'd be a better approach that we take in the future if it's possible.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Agreed with.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 148, authorizing the acceptance of the 2022 Ogden Court Records Audit and Findings.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 149, approving a revision to the town clerk fee schedule to include the collection of the $25 fee for one-day marriage officiant licensing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 150, authorizing the Ogden Highway Department to maintain a new drainage system along Washington Street and Chambers Street.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, to just explain it, the Washington Street drainage, we agreed with the developer who's building property on the other side, that we would take care of the drainage, and something to do with the state for us to take care of the drainage and stop the water from going to the west side, keep it on the east side. We found out from the state, that's why we have the agreement between the state and us. It's not something that we added or did anything, but it's something just that we'll maintain the pipe going through. That's all. It's a plastic pipe. It'll last forever.
Thanks.
Very good. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution number 151, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Zallen to execute an agreement with Ingalls Planning and Design for the completion of a new comprehensive plan.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 152, authorizing the Ogden Highway Department to purchase 2 six-wheel dump trucks from Tracy Road Equipment and making budget adjustments necessary to make this purchase.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. I would entertain, well, actually, I should just ask, is there anything else that this board wants to discuss in work session? Okay, then I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Moved by Councilman Hinman,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Toms. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.